This is the remote area of the French Alps where the plane with 150 people on board went down less than an hour into a flight to Germany. The crash site is said to be a 2.5-hour hike from the nearest village. This is the Germanwings plane, 24 years old, an Airbus 320, which was flying at an altitude of 38,000 feet when it began what appears to be a controlled descent. For at least 7 minutes, its altitude dropped at around 3,000 to 4,000 feet a minute, until at 10:47 local time, the pilot sent a distress signal.
A plane that has been ferrying passengers for more than 20 years. A low-budget carrier working a treacherous route. And we find ourselves again at the crossroads of dissecting why an aircraft slams into a mountain and what can be done to help ensure it never happens again. Let's welcome to MidPoint former Vice Chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board, senior NTSB investigator at numerous accident investigations, including TWA Flight 800 over Long Island Sound. Now senior policy advisor at Zuckert, Scout and Rassenberger in Washington, D.C., Robert Francis joins us today. Robert, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
From what you have been able to glean and what the information is that's coming through, dropping from an altitude of 38,000 feet to around 6,800 feet in about a 10-minute descent, it would appear to be looking at some sort of a mechanical failure, correct?
I would absolutely agree with that.
With regard then to that mechanical failure, what then can you guess? And again, that's really where we're at, but what does your experience tell you it might be?
Well, I don't know. I guess my first speculation would be some kind of problem with the oxygen system in the aircraft, where they were trying to get down to an altitude where human beings can breathe the outside air. That's as speculative as I can be, and it may or may not obviously have any validity at all.
Would that then, if indeed that might be, and again, we're just at that point right now where everybody is speculating as we wait to find the actual wreckage itself to get there and to get the black boxes. But if there was an attempt to try and get oxygen into the aircraft to get people breathing, would that lead you to believe that the aircraft shell had been somehow compromised at high altitudes and therefore the pilot had to bring it down?
I don't know. I mean, that's one possibility, but you have oxygen systems. Maybe they had a problem with the systems. I mean, there are all kinds of different possibilities.
With regard then to this specific airliner, and I mentioned that it's been around a long time, this is the A320 aircraft, and I'm looking now at reports that it's been involved in 60 aviation occurrences since its launch in 1987. But if you look at it, sure, you mentioned these are occurrences, some of them on the ground. This is still, in essence, a pretty safe aircraft, though, isn't it?
Incredibly safe. I mean, it's comparable to the U.S. Boeing 737, and they're everywhere in the world. They operate everywhere. They're safe. They're economical.
How much of this aircraft is a aircraft that can be flown on autopilot? Because I think that's always going to be a possibility here. The pilots certainly have the availability to come in and take over the controls, but as I'm led to understand, this is an aircraft that could pretty much, if you flicked a switch, you could get from point A to point B very simply.
That's true. But and you can get from point A to point B losing altitude as well, and you just set in the rate of descent that you want to have. So is that a possibility? Sure. Were they still trying to descend and the mountain got in the way? I mean, it's 6,000 or 7,000 feet in the air. That's another possibility.
Does this aircraft come with the sort of, and again, I know some of them do, the transmission systems that allow then the people on the ground to read in real time or else recorded time afterwards exactly what the engines are doing?
I would just guess, and I'm not, don't know this for a fact, but I would guess that this is a pretty early aircraft, and it probably wouldn't have been modified with that kind of a capability.
What would the pilots be going through? I got a couple of minutes left, and let's look at that, because there's apparently a thought process that there might have been a mayday that was sent out, an emergency call. There's always the squawk, I think it's squawk 7700 or 7800, that tells you that a pilot needs to be able to get to an airport as soon as possible here. But what about constant communication? Would there not be an open mic, perhaps, where a pilot could at least tell the ground in a full running conversation what's happening?
Well, you would think, but the problem is that in terms of this whole incident, you don't know exactly what has happened. So if it was a major electrical kind of problem, that might be part of the reason that they were descending, because that was affecting the oxygen, and maybe it was affecting their ability to communicate as well. I mean, the number of possibilities is extraordinary.
Is that what happens here? I guess in many cases your experiences with the NTSB is, at this point, you have a massive global media that is struggling to figure out exactly what happened, and everybody is looking for an answer, and too often we get caught up in a whole lot of suppositions and guesses, and most of the time they're probably wrong.
Yep, and when they get the two recorders, and presumably in a situation like this, they will not have problems finding the recorders. When they get the recorders, they'll have answers to a lot of our questions.
We will then have to wait and see when the recorders are found, because they are going to try and see if they can hike up the mountains now and get at a very rough terrain area to find this in. Robert Francis, we thank you for your opinions, and I look forward to the next time we speak.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We do want to point out to everybody that the last word that we have is no survivors expected, 150 people. And again, as I pointed out, a cruising altitude of 38,000 feet. They went to about 6,800 feet over a town. A 10-minute descent, unusually rapid, but it was possibly controlled. It left the plane, however, much too low to navigate the mountains, and, as I mentioned, conflicting reports about whether or not there were actual calls of an emergency. We'll continue to follow the story on news as well and bring you any updates. Now, just when you thought it was safe to start thinking about summer fashion, Mother Nature's not done with the winter reminders just yet here in America. Jessica Reyes checks the board.
Hi, I'm Jessica Reyes, and here's your weather for your Tuesday. As you can see, we got a system moving by the Ohio Valley. I'll get into that in just a second, but now moving along the Pacific coastline, we're dealing with some rain for today, especially in the parts of Seattle, so make sure and keep those umbrellas handy. Now, let's go ahead and move into the Great Lakes area. As you can see, this boot-shaped system is bringing with it rain, showers, and thunderstorms in some areas, so again, keep those umbrellas handy. And speaking of rain and hail, we're expecting more of that for today, even into this evening, into parts of Springfield, Missouri, and St. Louis as well. Now, meanwhile, by the Gulf of Mexico, warm and humid as we continue throughout our first week of spring. And then for today, by the southeastern portion of the country, we're dealing with some showers. So again, keep those umbrellas around. Here are some of your daytime highs for your Tuesday.
Yes, you are correct. You did see some 30 degrees sitting on that weather map here as we get close to April. Trust me, I know some of you in New England up in that area are now thinking that it will never end. I lived with you for several years. It will end after freezing. You know this is something to be true. All right, let's move on. Here is something to keep in mind when you are looking at candidates for president in 2016, the effect that even campaigning they're going to have on your wallet. We'll kick that into gear when we come back right here on MidPoint.